Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, and today, of course, we have with us Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you so much. It's been lovely weather here. It's been really, well, I say it's lovely. It's still a bit too warm for me, but I'm English, so I'm going to complain about the weather. But I'm missing the cricket, our room. There's a cricket match going on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Russ. I'm
It's
sorry that
the
this.
Ashes, really important.
Oh no. Well, do you have it on like somewhere in your room where you can see it as we're talking?
No, I'll go back. It'll be on for the rest of the day. And although after this, my daughter's taking me out for dinner.
Oh,
And I
how
say my daughter's
lovely.
taking me out for dinner. We're going to a restaurant, and I'll pay for it. But it's Father's Day, so how
Yes,
are
happy
you?
Father's Day, Russ. Happy Father's
Oh,
Day.
thanks so much.
Gosh, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there who are watching. My dad is in heaven, so happy Father's Day, Dad. Thinking about you today. Certainly is a special day for you all. Thank you, dads, for everything that you do. We appreciate it. So, I am fine. I'm doing great. It's beautiful today here in Long Beach. So, um, yeah, I'm doing great, and I do want to start to say hello to everybody, and of course James Cole, who I think I saw last night in a stream with Lorena when we were watching a movie. He was asking, I think it was you. I don't know if it is you, James, Mr. Cole, but welcome to Sunday Brunch. And I see you got a lot of comments there. We'll get to those in a minute. Um, Welcome. So glad to see you here. You want to talk about bodybuilding and pumping iron. Sounds interesting. Tom Jr. Jackson is here. Good morning, Tom Jr. Jackson. How are you? Um, Tom, we are all goof people. Great to see you. Retro Nerd Girl, greetings, good morning. So sorry I missed your stream on Friday. I want to apologize for that. Really wanted to be there, so I'm so sorry. But I hope you are having a great morning too, Retro Nerd Girl. It is always wonderful to see you here. Such a pleasure, guys. Retro Nerd Girl just celebrated her anniversary, I think, for YouTube. 7 years, right, Retro Nerd Girl? 7 years on YouTube.
Wow.
Incredibly impressive. Not a surprise. She has a fantastic channel. Always great to see you here on Sunday Brunch, Retro Nerd Girl. And we also have Darth Plato says, "Hey, gang."
Hey, Darth Plato.
Good to see you as well. So, Tom says it's mostly 67 degrees and sunny in Connecticut. Yes, absolutely. I have about the same weather here, Tom. It's a little breezier here where I am. Well, you're near the water too. So, um, let's see. I don't know about those questions, Mr. Cole, but let's just say yes. Yes, 7 years. Can you imagine it, Retro Nerd Girl? What an accomplishment and what a fantastic channel you have. We all have been enjoying your videos so much, and congratulations to you for being so successful, having such a wonderful channel, and letting us enjoy all those wonderful things that we love in this fantastic fandom. Retro Nerd Girl, you certainly are one of the pillars of the fandom as far as I am concerned. Um, Nathan Trujillo says, hello, Artem and Russ.
Hey, man.
Hope you are well, Nathan. So good to see you. And Russ, this weekend, there was pretty much a very interesting movie that we've all been waiting for. We've been talking about this film. How many years has it been? We've been talking about
It's
this
like
last.
it's like 7 or 8 years, isn't it? It's been in the making.
Is quite an undertaking, and it has been shrouded with controversy, and no more so than maybe the last two. You deserve it, Retro Nerd Girl. You deserve it, my dear. I've been enjoying your movies for years, even before I knew you. So thank you for everything that you've done and all the hard work you put into your channel and videos. It's been such a pleasure in watching them. I go back and watch your reviews that you did years ago too. Thank you for doing all of these fantastic reviews and live streams that you're doing nowadays. We so appreciate
100%.
it. So, guys, yeah, we're talking about a film, and Russ, the past few years have just been hell for this film. I think if I were a filmmaker, this would be the last thing I'd want to happen is to have my lead star be in the news and be portrayed in such a detrimental way, whether it's true or not. You don't want that kind of publicity for your film. I mean, it just really is so bizarre. What a bizarre association for a film, for a character that is kind of positive, kind of, portrayed in the film as being, a very happy-go-lucky individual, and to have that particular type of publicity around the film. Now it's the opening weekend, the opening time of everything. It is so odd to have it opening under these circumstances, and even odder, I think, when we see what they came out with, as far as I'm concerned. I think, to be honest with you, Russ, I have a lot to say about the film, and I've actually already said a lot about the film, but I want to hear what you think, Russ. I want to hear your opinions about this film, because I've already given opinions on Midnight Musings about the film, and I want to know your opinions and what you thought about The Flash, Russ.
Do you want to put up heavy spoilers?
Yes, I'm going to do that now.
Because, I don't want to say something and then somebody has whatever surprises they were looking for ruined because we went and mentioned it on here.
Yes, just give me one second. I'm putting it up now.
Yeah.
I'm putting it up now. And it is there. So,
Sweet.
guys, there's going to be heavy spoilers for The Flash movie. If you have not seen this film, if you don't want to know what happened, if you don't want to see what's going on, then you must close your ears, turn it off. There's going to be heavy spoilers in this particular broadcast for The Flash. Just a warning, guys. And hello to Bonzo Kilborn. Yes, Bonzo, I am in Long Beach, New York. Good to see you. And Keely Chow, roll tide to you, Keely Chow.
Hey, Keely.
All right, Russ. What did you think about?
What did I think of it?
Yes.
An enjoyable but frustrating experience, I think. Take it on its own merits. It's certainly a good movie. It's not a good DC movie. Great Marvel movie. You can tell that it is a Frankenstein of a movie, or at least maybe you can, maybe you can't. Perhaps. Oh, there's Luminara. Hello.
Luminara
E23. Maybe knowing what we know about it, it makes it more apparent. But the stench of James Gunn and his grubby little fingerprints are all over this movie, and you can tell where he's made his improvements to it, to the detriment of the movie overall. So why am I saying it's a Marvel movie? So there is a big battle sequence in this movie between Batman, the current day Flash, past Flash, and Supergirl and General Zod and his Kryptonians, in which bad things happen to our lead characters. Okay, so listen, everybody, I really mean it. If you haven't seen this film and you don't want it spoiled, quit now, because now I'm going to drop spoiler. So I'm going to count down. Please don't listen to this if if you don't want it spoiled. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so in this fight between the Kryptonians, Supergirl, and the Flash gang, Batman and Supergirl die. They are killed. And the Flash keeps trying to go back into the Speed Force and trying to create it. And then he realizes that sometimes things are meant to be. And this is foreshadowed throughout the film. And there's not a lot you can do about it. It's just some moments in history are meant to happen. And he was not meant to change that time stream. But the problem with it is that in the battle, hey Mario, massive spoilers for The Flash. So please, if you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled, I've just dropped really heavy spoilers already, so don't listen. So there you go. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, in that huge battle sequence, it takes place in the same desert where Superman in Man of Steel agrees to go on the the spaceship with General Zod. So there's no property to damage and people to be killed, lest we cause any controversy. Um, but what they choose to do in this battle, knowing now what we know, where people, main characters die, they choose to do needle drops, and they choose to do funny one-liners in the middle of all of this. And what that then does um, is it completely devalues the moment of, especially Kara, but not so much Kara, who was very, very underdeveloped as a character, but Bruce. Like, it just completely overshadows it. It's like the pathos of their sacrifice is lost amidst a bunch of pithy one-liners, needle drops. Like, I'm not coming to watch this movie to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I'm going to see the Flash. I'm not watching, and that's exactly what this felt like in places. In places. And the problem with this movie is that um, it is a Frankenstein, like we said. So there's some really, really good parts of this film, especially obviously the opening, which is set in the DC EU, in the DC extended universe as we know it. There's a brilliant action. Well, there's a good action sequence at the beginning in which we see Ben Affleck in the DCEU's worst iteration of the Bat costume. It was horrible. But Ben Affleck is he's just so good as Batman. And Bruce Wayne, he's just so good. And that was awesome. And Wonder Woman turns up, which is fucking great. It's so good to see her. And but they sort of do a bit of a miscue with her sort of theme tune, because you only get like the beginning bit of her theme tune, but it kind of just doesn't land well. It's like a poor directing decision. They should have had the chanty voices from Zack Snyder's Justice League or something, because that little quick uh, blast of violin was nice, but it wasn't. But then they replay the Lasso of Truth gag from Justice League. So they're all saying in sort of embarrassing things because they can't have a decent moment without, oh, we've got to have something funny here, got to have something funny here, got to have something, and they do that all the way through the film, and it frankly ruins the movie. Like, it's funny in places, but there's just so much of these pithy one-liners and stupid needle drops and all that sort of thing. Like I said, it's got the stench of James Gunn's grubby little paws all over like the really important bits. Which was not great. The CGI that they've come out and sort of said, "Oh, well, it's supposed to be crap because like it's kind of like they're in the speed." But no, this is just bad CGI. So when he's first in the Speed Force, he sees Henry Cavill, and we see Henry Cavill's Superman in the film right at the beginning, where the Flash is sort of like the last person but Jeremy Irons Alfred is in there, and he's doing like a call for the Justice League, and he's sort of explaining that Wonder Woman's off on a mission and Superman's in Rio de Janeiro doing something, and then you see him doing his thing. It's like the Peacemaker. You only see him from the back, right? But it's clearly Cavill's Superman, and you see Cavill's Superman clearly in the Speed Force thing. So that was nice. So that was acknowledged. So it's plain that the Flash movie takes place in the Snyderverse, right? So that's starts off there, and then he goes into another universe. I did like how they explained their own sort of cause and effect bullshit, because there has to be a sort of explanation as to why things would go like this. And I like the way Michael Keaton explained all of that. It didn't really make much sense from what we would know of time travel and multiversal travel, if we could know anything about it at all. But the explanation in universe works. It explains why everything goes so badly wrong. So I was quite prepared to sit still for that. That was all fine. Ezra Miller's performance was outstanding. Was absolutely outstanding. So you spoke about like what a car crash he is outside of outside of the. Sorry, Nathan raises a point here. The director of The Flash said that the movie was finalized over a year ago, which is long before James Gunn became CEO. That is objectively not right, I'm afraid, mate. You need to go look up and see how many reshoots they did of this movie. They've been reshooting it for years. And if you look up how many alternative endings to this they had, there are many. And the one that, of course, they chose to go with was, in fact, the worst possible one they could have chosen to go. It was awful. But yeah, no, Ezra Miller was fantastic. He was absolutely. He's almost like sort of modern day Robert Downey Jr., isn't he? He's an acting genius and a complete car crash outside of this. Outside of his performances, he himself is a bit of a mess at the moment. But his performance in this film was brilliant. He plays a younger version of himself, and some people said it was really annoying, and it kind of was a little bit annoying, but I think on purpose. And what happens therein is he sort of plays up this annoying side, but what this does is it gives our DCEU Barry Allen, who's now like 28 or 30 or however old he is, it gives him a much bigger level of maturity than you've seen from that character before. Like, he has some really strong dramatic moment. And I'm not going to lie, man, I was crying in the cinema at the end of it, in the scene with his mum. It was heartbreaking, because I lost my mum, and I was like, oh my god, this, yeah, really bang, it really got me in the feels. um and then, yeah, so he was great. Michael Keaton was good, given what he had to do, and there was a few callback, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts, and all that, and all that stuff. That was pretty good. He was good because he's Michael Keaton, he's good and everything. Sasha Kaye, you can't really tell, because she's given really like 3 lines in the whole thing, and the way that she's kind of like front and center of all the marketing and all that has obviously been done because they don't trust poor old Ezra. But she's literally, in fact, the Kryptonians, the whole sort of thing with the Kryptonians seems like a bit of an afterthought. But it's interesting how it sort of reflects back on Man of Steel, because it actually gives a little bit more weight to Man of Steel, because without Kal-El being there, this planet dies, and they are pretty explicit about that. Like, the Flash says, "Fuck," like, that's it. Well, without Superman, this without Superman, the universe dies, and therefore we needed Superman. So that gives Man of Steel it validates Man of Steel in a many, especially the decision at the end of Man of Steel, because that was the only way it was going to go. That was the only way you were going to stop these guys. And the Flash and younger Flash, and Kara and Batman were unable to pull it off. But you see that there they make the decision. The younger Flash, because at some point our Barry loses his powers and has to get them back, just like in Flashpoint. That was all fine, but it, you obviously you need like a superhero outfit to be able to run that fast and all the rest of it. And they give him like a Batman suit, and they sprayed a suit red and all that sort of thing. But then they sort of play the whole like him not being able to move his head from side to side thing. They play that for laughs. And like he cuts the ears off the top, and they play that for laughs, but then they just keep him in this like ridiculous costume for the whole fight scene. So when I'm talking about a fight scene in which Batman and Supergirl are essentially murdered by General Zod and his cronies, you've got that, and you've got someone in sort of like a ridiculous outfit with sellotape on it and one-liners and needle drops. It just, the tone is all over the place with it. And then at the end, as we know, I see Nathan says here, the only alternative ending I heard of was Robert Pattinson in one edit and George Clooney in another. There were loads that. So the one edit that they were going to go with was Barry at the courthouse meeting his dad, and then Henry and Gal show up. That was the ending of the film. The ending that we do get is George Clooney Batman shows up. Right? So then there's an end credit sequence in which our Aquaman is in. So was really weird because now we're back in the Snyderverse and we've got Aquaman and we've got the Flash and we know we've got Gal, or we thought we had Gal. We know we've got Ben, but now we don't have Ben because Clooney's back. So I was talking to my daughter about it, who really enjoyed it, by the way, and it made me sort of wonder. Maybe I'm just too old for these things now. Maybe these things are now being made for a younger generation, in which the Snyderverse movies were certainly not made for 18, 19-year-olds specifically. 18, 19-year-olds going to enjoy them, but as a, how old would I be? 42-year-old man at that time, and then 45 and 47 and so on as the films continued to come out, I loved them. This, take it or leave it. It was a great, good fun movie. It was a good fun movie in the wider context of what's going on around it. It really seems like DC are hedging their bets now, and they literally don't know what to do. Sam turned around and said, "Well, maybe they're just explaining that actually everything's exactly the same, apart from Henry and Ben not being there, and everything. So they can bring back Gal, and they can bring back Jason, and they can bring back Peacemaker, and they can bring back the Suicide Squad. And like we said all along, like James Gunn can cherry pick what he wants from the Snyderverse and what he doesn't want. And Sam's fan theory headcanon is that's what they've done here. So yeah, the only thing that people are talking about in the chat now is the sort of running through the multiverse and seeing all the stuff from DC, and that was okay, but the CGI was abysmal. Like the CGI was really bad, and the one thing that was really cool about that sequence though was actually seeing Nick Cage Superman, because when you saw those behind the scenes footage and he looked awful. Like it looked awful, but with all the CGI they did, because his CGI was actually quite good. And when you saw him like with the long 90s hair and the outfit and all that sort of thing, like, actually, you know what, that would have worked. And they had him fighting the giant spider like he was supposed to in the script and all that stuff. So yeah, if I was it'd be a 4 out of 5 for me, purely on its own merits. But in its wider context of the DCEU, I'm going to have to say 2.5, 2.
Wow.
God, I spoke for a long time. I apologize, chat. I'm sorry.
You can speak for as long as you like. This is what I wanted, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat wanted to hear your opinion, and I'm sure you have much more to even say about this film, Russ. And I do want to acknowledge some of the people who are in the chat. And of course, we did say hello to Luminara843, the queen of figure flex. I just wanted to say hello to you again, Luminara. I hope you are well. And of course, to Mario Lopez. And I am going to go through most of what you guys are saying in the chat. Stavros is here. Hello, Stavros.
Hi, Stavros.
Hope you are well. Mario Lopez says, the Snyderverse is dead, so spoil all you want.
I just did, Mario.
And Hunter Becknell is here. Says, hello, everyone.
All right, mate.
So glad you are here. Stavros is happy that you are back, Russ, as am I. Bonzo Kilborn talks about the possibility that Gunn is that each movie will have a singular direction without 8 years of reshoots. Of course, if you don't like Gunn's direction, it might not matter.
This is a great point. That is a great point, right? So this is what I was. Who said that? Sorry.
Bonzo Kilborn.
Yeah, that's a great point, Bonzo. So let's just sort of lead on from what I was saying before at the end there. See, like Sam loved it. She's like nearly 19. She thought it was great and it was funny, and she was laughing at all the right bits and all that stuff. So if that's the route that they go down, this was essentially like an episode of Peacemaker. That's what I said to Sam after. It was like an extended episode of Peacemaker taking place elsewhere in the Peacemaker universe, which we know that these characters exist in. It had that sort of that beat of like, it was funny, bit of pathos, funny, bit of pathos, funny, awesome pathos. That's what it was like. There's like an extended episode of Peacemaker. That's the tone that they're going for. And that's now carried across from the Suicide Squad to Peacemaker and now into the Flash.
Interesting. Stavros goes on to say, I've not seen it, but I'm going to wait for the Pirate Camp. Very well, Stavros. Do see it as you have to.
365watchtv.com.
Tom, we don't know anything about that. Tom Jr.
Well, we don't know anything about 365watchtv.com, do we? No, we don't. No, that's right. And we wouldn't know to put our ad blockers on if we were going to use 365watchtv.com, because that wouldn't be good. But we don't know about that, so we don't know about it.
Tom Jr. Jackson says, I thought the movie was brilliantly done and so much fun. It was a love letter to the characters of DC. The Flash and Aquaman 2 are both going to be soft reboots of the DCU. Glad you liked it, Tom Jr. Jackson. And guys, make sure you subscribe to Tom Jr. Jackson's YouTube channel. Tom, can you please put your link in the chat? Thank you so much. Darth Plato says, it sounds like Civil War. Tony Stark was trying to be funny despite the serious unfolding of events. Darth Plato, I love Civil War. That is my favorite film of all of them is Civil War because they're fighting against their friends. I love that kind of conflict. I don't know if it had that kind of passion. Let's see if it goes there. And Darth Plato says, no Cavill, no Sale.
Damn straight, Darth Plato.
I got to be honest with you. It's not, I certainly am not faulting all the wonderful Supermen and superheroes we saw in this film, but come on, you know, I felt like we should have seen a straight up and down view of him at some point, somewhat more showcased. However, I'm not upset about it, but it felt like it was missing that very specific point out. In fact, as you said, Russ, at some point there was a scene where he shows up, or you know, and they changed it. But that's okay. You know, something. There were so many variables in this, so many ways different Supermen showed up. Was I waiting for them to show me? I can't remember his name now all of a sudden, even though you were just talking about him with the long hair, Nick Cage's Superman. Was I waiting for that? Was I holding my breath to see that in a film? No, I wasn't.
No, absolutely.
When I saw it, I was like thinking to myself, I said, this must be in the Flashpoint comics. This must be why they included this. We've all seen the videos, it's fine. It's fun. But I don't know anybody who was absolutely felt like that was like, wow, that has to be in there. I thought maybe it was in the Flashpoint comics. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it was put in and we got in visual, the view. The thing is that there were certain superheroes where we got eye contact with.
He was the main one, right at the end, like it zooms in on him and then zooms out to the, it's literally him standing there front and center.
Was pretty good too. Like Christopher Reeves was pretty good too, because he was appearing. And there were certain superheroes where you got that and they wanted you to see them. And I said, okay, there must be something later on as to why it was significant to see those. I can't predict the reason why. Who knows? And that was fun to kind of see that. Certainly seeing Christopher Reeve did not necessarily bring me back to, Superman the movie. It didn't necessarily give me that boost where, or made me feel that sense of nostalgia. And I'm not quite sure why, but that's okay. I think seeing Michael Keaton, I was more aroused by seeing Michael Keaton because he still looks hot. And, I kind of see him and maybe yes, he is Batman. He's playing a Batman, but he was hot. Like he still came across as being hot. And as I said, it's nice to see older men in movies like this, because we know how old he is, still, like throwing it down, if you will. I don't even know if that's a term, but I did like to see him kind of do whatever he had to do. And I also love to see, and this is not mean that everything has to be like this, but I love to see older men explaining things to the younger generation of men. You guys will show all those young men what to do and explain it all. So that he probably had to talk with him about when he sleeps with that chick, this is what you do, that they had all those conversations about what to do, where to go, what he should be doing when he's alone with her, all that good, yummy stuff, off camera. But I love seeing stuff like that. I feel like it's, passing the torch. I did speak about, and I just also want to say hello to a few more people before I go a little bit further into this. I lost my spot, Russ. I lost my spot. Yes. Nathan, you're making some good points, Nathan. A lot has happened with this film. Nathan, I don't know everything that's happened with this film. It became like, confusing to a point. And then, as I said, Russ, you were right. The news and this huge media mayhem around the lead, actor was absolutely ridiculous. And, it, like the notion of saying it overshadowed the film, it overshadowed everything. It became so obsessively, in the news where things like this happen every day, but we don't hear about them to this extent. And I kind of thought to myself, whether he did these things or not, this is maybe a little overboard in reporting. But for this role, and as I said during Midnight Musings, I enjoyed Ezra Miller's performance as Flash. And this film felt like it was a Flash film. It didn't feel like it was someone else's film. It didn't feel like you were, although we saw maybe more superheroes in this film, maybe as many as they could fit in, they did, but it felt definitively like a Flash film. And Ezra had to play two roles. And I believed it. I believed it. I believe this. I certainly didn't feel like, this was not the Flash. I also want to say good morning to Mikey Lito. He says, good morning, RM Russ, and everyone in the chat. And happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth. Well, happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth to you too as well.
Juneteenth?
Again? Juneteenth is kind of like a slave liberation realization date. And I'm going to say realization date because it was where, let's say, the last group of slaves in the United States found out that they were no longer slaves or enslaved, even though it was like 2 years after they had been freed. So, but Mikey Lito has, and Monday is a holiday here in the United States where you can celebrate it if you like.
Yeah.
Mikey Lito mentions that the Flash was a muddled mess of mud. So Mikey Lito wasn't that happy with this particular film. And I also want to say, oh, yes. Where is it? Tom mentions that there's a 4-hour version of this film and he wants to see it. I think we all want to see that. What the 4-hour, something, the 4-hour film could be dramatic, have some dramatic differences in it, and have maybe even more explanations where explanations may be needed. So,
do you know what though, Tom? You might be in luck there because we're in the middle of a writer strike that doesn't seem like it's going to end. And if they've got stuff like that they can release, then they're probably going to do it. So there's buzz now that, the Aya cut might be coming, not because they love us so much, but just because what the hell else are they going to stop putting out? Something that they can get a bit of buzz around. They might be losing subscribers or their subscriber rate might have flatlined. So let's put the 4-hour Flash and the Aya cut on there and give us the Flash with the proper ending, please. I mean, they can't do it because if they have Henry and Gal show up at the end of the Flash like they're supposed to, then that doesn't open the door for the DCU, does it? Everyone's just going to be wondering where they are in the new movie. I don't quite know how they're going to close it off with Aquaman. This seemed like you see, and there right at the end of the film, right at the very last shot of the film, Barry's confused and George Clooney does his sort of sexy thing with his head like George Clooney does when he was Dr. Ross and when he was Batman, because I can't do it because I'm not George Clooney. And Flash smiles at him. And then we get the payoff of the gag when the Flash lost his tooth earlier on and his tooth falls out. And it's just like, it's not even fun. It's just juvenile. That was some of the humor was just juvenile and didn't land.
Well, I do want to mention something about that as well, Russ, and you make such a good point with this. And certainly there were comedic scenes in the movie, and I didn't laugh at a comedic part at all because I was just really concentrating on, I'm not saying it was or wasn't funny. What I'm saying is that I was kind of compelled by Ezra Miller's performance. And there was a lot he was conveying. It was a lot of machinations. It didn't look like it was two laid over scenes of two different actors performing at separate times. It really did look like two Ezra Millers. And
I think his best scene was in the Batcave when he loses his temper with his younger self, and he's trying to tell him how important this is. And I think why those scenes landed so well is because having seen Snyder Cut, right, we kind of know how awkward Barry is, and you got to look back and how awkward he must have been when he was 18. And this is like 5 years after Snyder Cut, right? So they keep talking they have been a team 4 years. They keep saying that. So this is obviously 3-4 years in the future. And Barry's like he literally realizes how annoying he must have been and what trying to deal with himself at this age was like, and he really loses his rag, and it was fucking brilliant. It was such a great performance. Like,
yes, that's a good point. I'm just so impressed with Ezra. And the worst part is that because of his, and I was speaking to Tom Jr. Jackson about this, because of the bad press, because of all this association with the scandal and everything, it's hard to even say a compliment about his performance. It really is. And because there's like this shadow over it. And I don't like that, Russ. I don't like that there's this shadow over all of this where we can't even comfortably comment. Maybe everybody else can, but I can't. I feel like I can't comfortably comment about Ezra Miller because of everything that's been said about him. And honestly, it's very uncomfortable. His performance was incredible as far as I'm concerned. I thought he really, and now I don't know what the essence of the Flash is, let's say, to every fan, but in regards to making a role their own, I felt like this was it. Some people don't feel that he captures the Flash or the true intention of the Flash, and I get that. But I thought for what he was supposed to do in this film, he accomplished it 2 times because he's playing 2 characters. I really love that he did this, Russ, and I think that he made it work for that. Now, Marco, hi Marco, how are you? Marco mentions that the cameos were so unnatural and cringe. The cameos were kind of stiff. They looked a little stiff. I think they could have looked a little more natural. And I'm not going to say that the cameos were perfectly placed or set. I think that, a little bit more thought could have been put into how they were placed, but perhaps they didn't have any ideas about how they could be placed in a different way. And sometimes,
to be fair, they did have 7 years to come up with something cool.
Something, you're right, Russ. But perhaps even after 7 years, things were thrown in and removed and thrown in and removed. And finally they said, we're just going to go with this.
I think you're absolutely right. Do you know what? You just encapsulated it right there. There are so many cuts, so many iterations, so many different endings, so many versions with Snyderverse in, Snyderverse out. It's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun time. It's a 4 out of 5. Like I said, if you just go and watch it and enjoy it for what it is, it's a fun movie that you can, it's a Marvel movie. I've forgotten about it by the time I've got back to the comics. This one I haven't because of the implications of for everything else. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's just they were just like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah,
put the fag out and let's print it.
And I think that's what Mikey Lito is seeing very carefully. Let's say, and I'm not speaking for you, Mikey Lito, but I have a sense that that's what you're noticing is that, well, that kind of looks thrown together, or that, didn't necessarily flow nicely. And you notice it in a film where they've taken such care to do certain things and then to, let other things maybe not so much care. I don't understand what this means. Darth Plato says, did they bring the underlings from Zod's crew? He means the gorgeous brunette woman, right?
And Anjay Trail was there. And she did refilm some, she did shoot some scenes because she's posted about it on her Instagram or whatever it was, on her social media. She doesn't have a line in it, or maybe she says one thing. I can't remember if she says one thing or not, but she's definitely there. Zod's definitely there, but you don't see any of the others. They're all in armor, but those actors were certainly part of it. Darth Plato, yeah.
She looked lovely, and I want to talk about that scene a little bit, but I do want to get to just a few more of these comments. Nathan says he felt the CGI was awful. You know what I was going to say about the CGI personally? I felt that I liked the parts where Ezra was in it. I thought, where you see him kind of running backwards, and seeing him run in a regular time reminded me of some of the films from some early reels where you saw a horse sort of trotting and it's against a black background and you're kind of looking at it from the side, or a man running and doing somersaults. It reminded me of that. Like, I wasn't expecting to have that odd feeling, about him. And I thought to myself, how amazing is it that a character that does move, so quickly would evoke that kind of feeling. I don't think that was their intention at all. But I thought it just made me think of sort of those films. And I kind of like that. I wasn't expecting to have that feeling there. Now, this is something very interesting. Mikey Lito says, Russ saw something I didn't see because I didn't think Cavill was in the movie. I didn't think Cavill was in the movie.
He himself isn't. The actor is not. But they CGI him in the first Speed Force scene, and you see him in Rio de Janeiro or wherever he is doing his heat vision on a volcano. But then again, Sam and I were saying, like, did we see a different version? Because there's so many versions of this. Well, we thought there were two. We'd heard there were two end credit scenes, um, but there was only one,
Right.
which was the Aquaman one where he's drunk in the puddle.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tom also concurs that it was the Speed Force at the beginning, and he also goes on to say they actually brought in Nick Cage for this.
And I
And
bet he would have loved that. So I'm glad Nicolas Cage got to fulfill his lifetime ambition. I mean, sweet man, like that was his dream, and he's been made no secret of the fact of what a Superman fan he is. And so I'm happy for Nick Cage because we all love Nick Cage. So that's brilliant.
Bonzo Kilborn says, "So Russ, does this movie push you more towards accepting a complete reboot?"
Bonsai, I would have been happy with a complete reboot. Would have been fine with it. Yeah, disappointed but fine with it. What I don't like is this. I'm taking the Suicide Squad and keeping Peacemaker, and I'll probably keep the Flash, and I'm probably going to keep Aquaman, but I'm getting rid of everything else that you like. Has always been my bone of contention with this. I would have sucked it up on a total reboot, to be honest with you. But I hate this because it's so close to what we could have had, and yet we're not going to get it. And that's my own personal bias, right? I'm not. Everybody knows my bias. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm not biased. So complete reboot, yeah, that would have been great. I would have been much more on board with that. New Wonder Woman, new Superman, new Batman. But with the direction that they're going, I'm going to kind of double down on what I was saying the week before last. I think Brave and the Bold is going to be much more, not exactly like, but it's going to be much more leaning towards the Brave and the Bold cartoon than it was leading towards the sort of dark and gritty 70s, early 80s team up magazine called The Brave and the Bold. I think it was Batman and Green Arrow, as far as I remember. But yeah.
And Darth Plato says, "Flash movie sounds like a test screen than a final movie." And
It's very astute.
Yeah, I want to comment on this because last night when I was, maybe was it last night? It was the night before last night when I was talking about this, and I felt that Ezra Miller was so good in this role that he could have done a TV series. And there's already a Flash TV series. There is. But I feel like Ezra is a stronger actor. Mind you, I love the guy who plays Flash in the TV series. I think for
Grant
what it is,
Gustin.
yeah, he's great. He's great. But he's not as, I'm not comparing the two. I liked Ezra as the Flash in the movie. And I felt that there was so much in this film that they could have done a few films. It was kind of jam packed with a lot of stuff. It was fast. There was a lot of action, but I think, it was a little compressed also, and maybe a little disjointed. And the reason why I felt it was disjointed in this sense is that they had to tell the same story over again. In other words, I understand Flashpoint. I understand what it means, but they had to tell the same story over again. And that's not easy to do. You're telling the same story, Zod coming to Earth, let's say. And we saw this already in another film, very specifically. And we've seen it, time and time again. It's just that it's, I don't know whether they accomplished the notion of telling the story so that it felt more dissimilar than the last one we saw. Like, for example, did it have to be Zod who was the one who was coming? If it's an alternative universe, would he have changed as well? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, it just seems.
Why couldn't it have been the woman? Now she's the person who is the leader. I'm
Yeah,
not saying it has to be her, but they didn't change that. So
why wasn't it Terrence Stamp Zod, for example? If he's gonna come back and he's got George Clooney Batman random, yeah, and that's kind of the point, isn't it? That's when Michael Keaton's saying that it's like spaghetti, and that kind of just gives them an out to do whatever the fuck they want.
And so because of this, because of the association that I had, let's say with that particular General Zod, and let's say even his whole crew, it felt like a very similar story that was being retold. It didn't feel like now we have an alternate universe and different things were going to occur in the alternate universe. But that's okay. This is what they went with. They wanted us to recognize General Zod in this. They wanted us
But
to
I
have
think it's more to the point, wasn't it? That the point wasn't so much about Zod. The point was, as they point out in the movie, without Kal-El, this world dies. If Flash does what he does, He causes this world to be. The timeline will play out exactly as it has, unless he fixes it, and the world will die. But if he goes back and puts the can of tomatoes back where, or puts whatever and takes them out of his mum's shopping basket, then that world plays out almost exactly as it should have, and Superman is there to stop General
Yes,
Zod
and if he doesn't make any additional changes.
if he doesn't make any additional changes. So then you've got a big logic hole at the end. Well, then where's Ben Affleck?
Because he made additional changes. He changed that part with his father.
Yeah, but that is that's your get out, but that shouldn't have any cause and effect on the timeline, should it? Because his dad still gets arrested, his dad still goes to prison, and it's only 10 years later, when Wayne Tech has cleaned up that particular piece of film, that his dad looks up. So that the timeline is unchanged.
No, I thought he went in and changed something.
Yeah, he did. He moves the tomatoes up to the top
so
shelf.
That's what would affect the timeline.
Well, why would it affect the time? Why?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and trace it, but that's what they're saying.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't though, would it? This is the point. So that film has been.
I think it did change the timeline.
No, because his dad still goes to prison. His dad still has his day in court on the same day.
Yes.
So nothing's changed.
But his father wouldn't be released from prison.
But his father was released from prison, right?
Because he made a change in the past, and that changes everything going forward.
But it didn't change anything going forward. That's my point.
His father gets released. His father wasn't going to get released, though, was he? His father.
No, that changes. But the timeline up to that point is that nothing's changed, because the film is still not fixed. So you can't see what's going on the film. So as far as everything's concerned, nothing has changed. And as far as we know, he took the thing out of his mum's shopping basket. He put the things up on top, knowing that in 10 years' time that Ben Affleck was going to fix the tape and everyone would see it. But all the events leading up to that have played out as they would have done.
See, I thought because he then goes ahead and goes back in time again to move the tomatoes to another shelf.
No, he's already there. He's already there. He takes the thing out of his mum's basket, and you don't see him do it because it's the twist in the ending. But he's obviously put the tomatoes on the top. So when his dad goes to get the tomatoes, you see his face.
Yes.
So that's the only thing that's changed in the timeline, and nothing in the timeline has changed. Right?
But isn't that a change, though? I don't understand. It's not this. If he had left the tomatoes where they were, then he's not disrupting the timeline.
Well, then
once he moves the tomatoes, he's disrupting the timeline again.
Only up until the point after his dad is released.
So with that being said,
that point.
Right. But with that being said, Russ, he's changed the timeline. So we're going to see changes all over the place because he changed something. He didn't leave it as is.
Yeah, but the timeline was not interrupted in that his mum was still killed and his dad goes to jail and his dad stays in jail.
I agree with you.
So what's changed?
I mean, like, let's say going forward in the movies now, everything has changed because he went ahead and made a change. However subtle, he did make a change.
Yeah, but it's this bullshit spaghetti theory. Right? Because okay, well fine. Then we'll go with that. But actually nothing in the timeline has changed at all. His mum still dies, his dad still goes to prison. And his dad stays in prison. And General Zod comes and invades the Earth. And Superman kills him. And Aquaman has his battle with his brother. And Darkseid turns up. And they've been a team for now 4 or 5 years. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
I think that as soon as he moves those canned tomatoes, things did change. That's just how I'm interpreting it.
Well, that's your get out of jail free card. And that was the kind of the point of the spaghetti thing. That was the point of it. So they can now say, oh, yeah, no, it's because of that. But that even with the logic of the spaghetti thing, that doesn't hold up. That doesn't hold water because nothing changed. And nobody knew anything had changed. There's literally no stone gone in the pond. Let's say it was on the 17th of June, 2023. Nothing's been dropped in the pond because nobody knows. Nothing changed at all. Apart from the movement of a can of tomatoes, right? So what changed? Nothing. So therefore, by that logic, nothing should have changed, and yet it does. And you can, as I keep saying, it's to do with the spaghetti theory. the string theory, if you like, but it's bullshit, isn't it? It's nonsense. It doesn't hold up. It does its own. It's not consistent with its own logic,
No,
basically.
it's not. Irene Jobson. Hi, Irene. How are you? Says looking super bright, lovely art. And hello, what? What?
It was
Ralph?
Ross. It was Ross last week, and now it's Ralph this week. It'll be Robin next week, right?
Good to see you, Irene. She's doing well. And guys, don't forget, here's Tom Jr. Jackson's YouTube channel link. Guys, like and subscribe to Tom Jr. Jackson's YouTube channel. He has a lot of great stuff on there. And he is going to be interviewing Maria Espino, the CEO and president of the Last Prophecy Gaming and director of the Star Wars fan film, The Chosen One, on June 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern on his channel. So guys, please do like and subscribe to Tom Jr. Jackson channel. Show some support, guys. Please, please do check it out. Michaelito says, I thought I was alone in my contrariness, but I talked to another audience member after the film, an adult. Yeah, there's some interesting feelings about it. And you know something that Russ, you and I have talked about, and maybe I've talked about with a bunch of you who are in this chat. And thank you, James Cole. We're gonna. I promise you, we'll have a stream about bodybuilders. But right now, we are talking The Flash, James Cole. You know, Russ, I think things would be very different if the seeds were planted for us to see things like this in this film. Meaning, this standalone film with The Flash is not enough to kind of introduce everything that's in it, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like there's a huge gap. And
Okay,
what do you think?
I'm gonna. Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's pretend you're MJ, who's
Okay.
not into superhero. MJ's my friend. She's living with me at the moment. She's not into superhero movies. She just likes perving over Henry Cavill, as we all do. But she probably hasn't seen Superman Returns, and she almost certainly hasn't seen 1989 Batman. Certainly will not have seen Batman Forever, and will not have seen Batman and Robin with George Clooney. All right. So we can say with pretty much certainty, everyone's seen Christopher Reeve's Superman. Like, people will recognize that. But the last shot of this film, that you know that Barry has gone back and fixed everything, your can of tomatoes withstanding, and we can agree to disagree on that. He returns to this universe, and George Clooney gets out of the car. Now, you know, because it's been set up in this movie, that Bruce Wayne was Ben Affleck, and then they went to a different universe where it's Michael Keaton. Who the fuck's this guy? Who is he?
I think it's very chancy to take, I'm not going to say unknown, but the least known, maybe least recognized version of this character to showcase at the end of a film where, you know, I don't know whether I would have done that as an editor. I don't know whether I would have chosen that as the person who I want everybody to see. You know, George Clooney is wonderful. I love him as an actor. And hello, Gary Bando Sandwich Worthington, who says better than Snyderverse films. We hear you, Gary. It's so good to see you today. And, you know, I think it's interesting, Russ, that as you know, you make a good point. And that might be more than a third of the people seeing the film.
Oh God! I mean, look, Rita. You know, let's be honest with you. Most of the people in the chat are over 30. I'm gonna guess. All right. We've seen those films, you know, when we were kids. Even if you are in your 30s, you know, you would have seen them on video and DVD and what have you, sort of growing up. Sam's seen them because, you know, I'm her dad, and she
Yes.
was made to watch that shit.
And you've
But
trained her
I've
well.
trained her well. But the vast majority of the viewing audience isn't going to have a fucking, what the fuck's George Clooney doing there? I don't know. Who's that guy? Is that the guy off the coffee advert? So, and that,
Oh, God.
that, you know what I was saying about the stench of guns, grimy little fingerprints all over it. That is a typical James Gunn. Fuck it, well, let's put George Clooney in there. That'll be funny. He was the most hated Batman. We'll put him in. Okay, great. Where's your universe going now then? What is George Clooney Batman now?
What about the
Because,
language at the end of the film, Russ?
what do you mean?
what what is said at the end of the film, the verbal comments of towards Clooney. What do you think about that?
I can't remember. What did they say?
I think it was a curse, like WTF or something. Or
Oh yeah, no, I don't know.
what do you think about that?
Bad language doesn't bother me. The tooth falling out, I just thought was a bridge too far. It was just that was just oh, really that should pay off. This is like the questions that you've now raised. We should be leaving the cinema or having this conversation. Well, hold on a minute. Does that mean because as someone in the chat pointed out, and it whizzed past too fast for me to see. You're right. In one of the endings, yeah, was Keaton Batman, but they excised that when they cancelled Batgirl. So yeah, what does it mean? So now in Aquaman is George Clooney Batman? Because as far as we know, Affleck's filmed scenes for that film. So does that mean our DCEU Barry Allen is now in an alternate spaghetti verse, and therefore in the Aquaman movie, that's in the DCEU that still has Ben Affleck and Arthur, even though he was trying to explain to Arthur that he was back. It's very, very confusing, and they haven't tied it up.
Well, Nathan says it felt like Batman and Flashpoint to me. That's cool, Nathan. Nathan, I have not read the comics. I haven't watched any other animated series, so I'm really not an expert on the Flashpoint thing. But I'm glad that you feel it's kind of true to it. Joe Tyson is here. Says greetings, RM.
Big Joe, didn't see you come in there, mate.
Hope you are well. Also, we have Stubble McShave says, "Hi, gang. I'll see you on Midsummer for Friday. Yes, nothing strange about partying in pagan ritual where we drink, sing, and dance around a phallic symbol that's fertilizing the soil." Gee, I wish I were there for you, with you, Stubble.
Steady on. Freudian slip there, Oram. What's going on between you two? Is there an internet romance, budding here that I wasn't aware of? Where's the fucking gossip here? Are you sending each other nudes? This shouldn't be. This is a family show.
Russ. No, I think it's just a holiday on Friday.
Well, it will be if you're sending each other nudes. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to leave it right there, guys.
Well, I'm not going to comment on whether that's happening or not, but what I am going to say is on Friday, I'm going to be reviewing a book with Stubble on the Burnettwork. I think it's called something like Hail Mary or something like that. I can't remember the name. I don't have my phone with me.
Oh, the science fiction thing. Yeah, you were talking about this. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be on the Burnettwork, guys. So make sure you do check that out. It's going to be Stubble and I talking about the book by Andy Weir. And apparently it's a very interesting book, guys. You got to check out this review I'm going to be doing with Stubble live on the Burnettwork. And it's probably going to be broadcast here too. So please do check it out. And Stubble, yes, I wish I were in town to celebrate with you. It certainly would have been an interesting experience, but I will see you on Friday. Nathan says he really felt that the CGI scene, a lot of people did not like this scene, Nathan. And for goodness sake, if Barry knows he needs to eat, then he should have freaking snacks in his pockets all the freaking times. Grr. Yeah,
Yeah, but also that's interesting, actually, because that doesn't pay off anywhere, does it?
It doesn't. And Stavros says, did they really give Barry ADHD and autism? Any answers? I have no idea.
Not really. He's just dickish. And he's even more dickish as an 18-year-old. And that's kind of the point. Like, he's so dickish, and you sort of get to see Barry Allen, 30-year-old or 28-year-old Barry Allen, 28-year-old Barry Allen, looking at his 18-year-old self and how annoying he is and how hard he is to deal with and how he thinks everything is a joke and how he won't listen and things like that. And he has like it's subtle, all right, and I'm reading it into, but that he suddenly realizes in and of himself how fucking annoying he is, because he spends the whole beginning of the movie sort of like, I'm basically the Justice League janitor. I'm the janitor of the Justice League. I'm being like really irritating, and Batman is getting annoyed with him, and you see that then flipped, but in a really, really serious situation. Barry Allen, 28, Barry Allen realizes Justice League. Barry realizes, fuck,
Well, yeah.
shit.
And not only is that an issue, but there's this chick throwing her panties at him. And he's like, so what are you doing here? And I'm like, she's hitting on you. My God, would you do something?
Mm.
Like it was, she's not there to report. Yeah, she's a reporter, but she doesn't have to go up to you to get that information. She's checking you out. You should have slept with this chick already. What's
Well,
going
he hasn't slept with anyone though, has he? Because that came out in the gag with the lasso of truth,
on?
which was awful. It was the most Justice League. It was the most Joss Whedon bit in the whole. Well, it was, as I said earlier on, it was just replaying that gag. So no, you're absolutely right, Aram. So again, it goes between tonally, it's all over the place, but they play Gunn and his influence, and he's had influence on it. They can't take anything seriously.
He doesn't look like a kind of guy who hasn't slept with somebody. Like it's weird. I just don't get it. And I'm sorry, I just don't get that. That sounds weird to me. Norwegian
Mm.
Kryptonian, thank you so much for being here, says hello. And 59 Norwegian Kroner, thank you so much, says hello. Sorry I'm late. Woke up after a night shift feeling like I was an alternate reality. Haha. Thank you so much for the support.
You're on point, Norwegian Kryptonian.
Yes, I so appreciate it. This is our spoiler review of The Flash. So just letting you know, thank you so much. That is so kind of you to support the channel. And we are so glad that you are here. Hoping you're having a great day. Also, Retro Nerd Girl. Retro Nerd Girl says, I think it's hard for people to separate celebrities' public images from their actual talent. I subscribe to the idea that it's okay to like Ezra's work, but not endorse his actions in his personal life. And I think that that is wise words.
You know what, though, Retro? Here's the thing about all of that. It's been a while since he's done anything. Like they really have sort of kept him, locked down in wherever he's been locked down in. And he was clearly, I say clearly, the assumption is that he was Prozac'd out of his eyeballs at the premiere because he was just sort of going, hi, like he really wasn't his usual gregarious self. And I'm wondering if this will be a sort of repeat of Robert Downey Jr. in that, because look, he is clearly very talented. I mean, he was amazing. He was amazing in this. He's been amazing in everything he's been in, from what I've heard. All right, and he's extremely good looking. Like Sam can't get enough of him. She thinks she's beautiful. So he's got all the tools.
He has a nice body, I can tell you that much. And I think that, in some of these roles where the men are pretty much expected to have physiques that are stellar, because, a lot of these superheroes have physiques that are, insanely impressive, incredible conditioning.
Do we want to take a moment to appreciate hairy chest Henry Cavill here? Is that was that where this is going, Aram?
No, I'm just saying I'm fine with hairy chests. I'm fine with all of that. See, James Cole is going to say, I knew it. He's going to get in there. I knew she wanted to talk about that. It's very hard not to notice his physique in this film because, even
Well, he's naked at one point, isn't he?
Yes, even Wonder Woman tells him he's looking good. And, she doesn't have to lie. She doesn't have to lie to anybody. She's not a kiss ass. So she's kind of eyeballing him and we're all looking at him. That's why I just can't believe he's a virgin, because there's no reason to believe this. But as I said, even with that girl throwing her panties at him, for him to be so, out of it. And I'm sorry to have this thing covering your face, but I just wanted to read it. Stavros says, after seeing and watching the boys with A-Train and Quicksilver Kitchen all over, the speed sequences are mute and lose their luster. Yeah. Okay. We hear you. I can understand that. The other thing I was going to say is, thank you, Tom. I'll see if I don't have my phone in this room. This is so strange. Yeah, I just want to say, yes, I knew someone else was here. Hello, Renz Tolentino. How are you? Hope you are well, guys. As you know, Renz Tolentino is a very talented artist, and you need to check out his artwork on Instagram. Renz says, I'm guessing Ezra's Flash is stuck in that universe, and this makes way for Gunn's DCU to play.
Yeah, well, we mentioned that earlier on. It's my daughter said, Ren, I don't think you were here at the time. She basically said, well, yeah, well, this is sort of like almost exactly the same universe except without Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. So everything else is the same, apart from not having those two icons. So Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot are still there. It's, we don't want them anymore. Seems to be what they've done here. So yeah,
Well, yeah, Hunter, that is kind of what I think a lot of people were expecting to see, or something where you can at least see him as well as you saw the other Supermen, if you will, and Supergirl, whomever. It was just odd that we didn't see a little bit more of him,
just in
considering that.
general, I think Hunter's point is in general. Yes, absolutely, it's what everybody wanted. Like nobody, nobody was saying, yeah, he's fucking shit. We should get rid of him. He's crap as Superman. Like nobody said that. You can say what you want about the films, as we said so many times. Love him, hate him, it doesn't really matter. He was brilliant. Affleck was brilliant. Godot was brilliant. Miller, brilliant. They're all brilliant. And maybe you like the films, maybe you don't. But the way they portrayed these characters was spot on. There were no calls. There were literally all right. There's always going to be a few idiots on the internet going, "I fucking don't like him. He's too goth and moody." Yeah, all right. And we understand that because he was directed to be that way, and that was the thing he was acting. But on the whole, he was perfect. I've said it before. I saw Superman the movie in the cinema, and I am old enough to have seen both, and I prefer Henry Cavill. I know it's sacrilege, but that's what I prefer.
Well, Gary Vander Sandwich Worthington has a hashtag. Russ is right.
Rock on, gal. Rock on.
And thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. Thank you for this. It says Mike Alito is to Mike Alito. The original ending was going to be that Barry Allen fixes everything, he returns, and Michael Keaton would be Batman in every universe along with Supergirl.
Correct, and they scrapped that as well. So,
and I can't take it. James Cole says I would make a good female bodybuilder. Well, thank you, James.
Apparently, Cole. James Cole, RM has been doing a bit of the old, in time for a topless Christmas show.
Topless.
Well, that's what we agreed 3 weeks ago. I mean, I'm going for it.
That I would bikini top.
Bikini. Sorry.
You're the. I think you're the one who's gonna be bare chested, more topless kind of.
I was gonna wear a bikini. That's what I thought. That's what you were insinuating. I mean, I said topless. You said fine. I said okay. It's a family show, but it is going to be Christmas, so
Well, we could just film from here up. That's what we could do.
That's not what the viewing public wants to see.
No,
and we both
know it. See it. Look, I have my free weights, guys. My 4-pound free weights. I'm working out behind the scenes, getting into shape in anticipation of this, James Cole. And maybe by Christmas, I'll be up to like 100 kilos. Who knows what I could do? So I appreciate the encouragement. I really do think it's interesting. Now, Retro Nurgle says, I think the Flash ran into a different universe when he thought he was going back in time. The change would have happened way before the Flash's change to create a completely new Batman.
That's logical, Retro. But as we were just arguing about with him moving the tomatoes, whichever way we were going to say it, RM reckons that results in George Clooney Batman. I don't think that logic holds up at all. But
well, that's what I thought from if I have to follow the rules in the movie, that's what I thought that they were doing.
Well, yeah, but it's just the whole spaghetti logic just hand waves it. Oh well, we can just do what the fuck we like, and that's basically what it is. But Retro's comment is on the money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Retro Nerd Girl. And I thought Keaton Batman and Clooney Batman were same continuity, just different actors.
Yeah, quite so. Yeah, that could be. Well, you could argue that, couldn't you? And it certainly was the case because there was no differentiation at the time. It was just a new Batman movie. But now you could also argue it's different universe, different tone, different Batman, different. But Alfred was the same, and that's kind of where they get on this thing. Some things are always the same. It's always going to be a Bruce and Alfred. Barry's mum's always going to, die at the hands of this whoever it was, Professor Zoom. I think it was me, Barry. But things Superman has to come to Earth. If he doesn't come to Earth, then the Earth will die. That kind of stuff, you know.
And Hunter is saying, yes, it's the same Batman. And who else did I have? Oh, yeah. And Ren says maybe Barry went to a different timeline planned by Reverse Flash. A bit of a reach, LOL.
Well, I think actually, Renz, you raise a good point, and the whole thing about this is now we just don't know where the fuck we are in the multiverse. So this could be the DCEU, but with changes, or it could be a completely different bit of spaghetti, and the DCEU unchanged is unchanged apart from the fact that Barry's disappeared, which they explore that in an episode of Justice League actually, where Barry dies or Wally dies in because it's Wally West in that version, and then Superman goes a bit mad and becomes a dictator. To your point earlier on, I wanted to mention this. Why Ezra Miller's Flash gets a lot of criticism is he's much more Wally West than he is Barry Allen. And a lot of people thought, if you're going to play him like that, just make him the Wally West version of the Flash, because he's much more young and much more like the animated Flash character from the movie who was Wally West.
Mm-hmm. And Irene says, "Happy Father's Day, Russ."
Thank you, Irene. I appreciate that.
And I do want to
So
thank
does Ralph and Ross.
I do want to thank Mikey Lito for the $2 super chat, who says, "Okay, the baby in the microwave, just sick."
They do explain it though, don't they? Like they do say when he's using that sort of force, like he can't do certain things, and I think he was like charged up at the time, so he had to put the baby in the microwave so the microwave would absorb the electricity of whatever it was he was doing. I think because that's why he puts young Flash in the bat suit. But yeah, it was a weird creative choice. I can imagine James going, "Oh, that'd be hilarious. Let's add that," and he puts him in the microwave. That'd be really funny. No, it won't, James. That
It
won't.
wasn't
Stupid.
funny.
Just let Andy Machete do what, because clearly Machete knows what he's doing. Like people criticize the member berries a lot and stuff like that, but it was a bit of a flex. Putting Kirk Allen in there and putting Nick Cage in there. That's a total flex. And again, like if you don't know, you don't know, and you just think, well, why is Nick Cage Superman? What the fuck's
Most
going on
people
here?
don't know. Most people who are going to see that film will not know why Nicolas Cage is in that film.
Exactly.
They're going to recognize Christopher Reeve, and that's the only person they're going to recognize from the flashbacks. I'm predicting that.
Yeah.
But
it was nice. But that's a flex by Machete, right? He's a DC nerd. He knows what he's talking about. If he isn't, James Gunn certainly is. Say what you want about him. He does know his shit.
Anyone who was alive, let's say at 1989, will recognize Michael Keaton in the film.
Oh yeah.
When that Batman film came out and Prince did the Bat Dance, there was no place on earth you could not see that film. It might have been the most publicized, marketed film of, let's say superhero film of all time. I've never seen anything like that where, it was such a big deal. And that was the type of fanfare, Russ, that honestly, I'm still waiting for another film to have that type of fanfare. That it was crazy, but you had the music along with it. The album that was specifically made for that film. And it was Prince, who was one of the biggest stars at that time. I think it does make a difference when you have a quality, and maybe the songs people don't like, but it had to be something outrageous and different. And it really was outrageous and different then. So
it was the first time of like mass marketing, wasn't it? I mean, you just couldn't get everywhere, every bus stop, every bus, everywhere you looked, there were T-shirts and badges and pins and
every
patches.
show was sold out, Russ. Every show was sold out. You couldn't get a ticket. I got a chance. I was working at a movie theater at the time. Our theater did not have the movie. And and we were going, incidentally, I was going out on a double date, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go see Batman?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Of course I want to see Batman." The theater was sold out for that night, but somehow they managed to get tickets to go to the theater. So I saw it on a double date, and it was fantastic. Like this event that night was so cool because of the fact that it was sold out. You got tickets to a sold out show. It was oh my goodness. I wish I could go back in time and relive that night, because it was so much fun to go to an event like this for a movie there was so much anticipation and fanfare about. It was just absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, but you want to be careful, because if you went back in time, you might come back to the show next week. You might be talking to fucking George Clooney.
Russ. Thank you, Mikey Lito, for the super chat. Bonzo Killboard says, Russ, you're British. Can you get Guy Ritchie to direct some DC? I think that will work. I would love a Guy Ritchie DC film.
I reckon Guy Ritchie would own something like The Question. Something like that. Something not cosmic. Catwoman. Something like that. He'd be too good at Catwoman, wouldn't he, actually?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I wonder if Halle Berry's now Catwoman in this universe, because that's the Batman universe, right? Because we know Michelle Pfeiffer's part of the pit off Halle Berry verse.
I'm gonna get you, Batman. I just it was like so cool seeing her do that. It was, and I remember watching him. I'm like, Mom, what's the story? She's like, oh yeah, she was really popular. I mean, do you realize that she's threatening Batman? She's threatening him. And he just eating it all up. I mean, you know, it was like so much attention. Just that 1960s version of that was just, I think it was the 60s, was unbelievable.
Oh, I tell you what Guy Ritchie could do.
What?
Fucking Green Arrow.
Okay.
Green Arrow. I reckon he'd own, or Huntress, Black Canary, Catwoman, Green Arrow, something like that. I'd be down for definitely down for a Guy Ritchie movie done like that. Yes, 100%. Nice shout.
Absolutely. And Mikey Lito, I think we can say, and this is a final word, no more babies in the microwaves. No more microwavable babies. We don't want this. We don't want an explanation. Just don't do this. Someone's going to do this and they're going to get put in prison for it. Okay. And guys, remember tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, you're going to catch Tom Jr. Jackson on the Phantasmagorium Show channel. And he's going to be joining Catherine Cook for Idols, Snakes, and Skulls, talking about the Temple of Doom, guys, in anticipation of the new Indiana Jones film coming up. Guys, check out Tom Jr. Jackson on that channel, the Phantasmagorium Show. Tom, can you please put you did. Okay. Here is the link for it. Guys, make sure you check out the Phantasmagorium channel.
Irene does I'm going to skip forward. Well, you can go back, but I'm going to skip forward. Irene does a fucking mic drop here. Nobody puts baby in the microwave. It's a fucking banger. That's an absolute banger, Irene. Well done. Drop the mic. Your work here is done.
I got to find this.
It's right down the bottom.
It's, I'm going to, darn it. It's all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Why don't I see? Oh, let's see. Irene, my husband, Batman. I'm looking for it, Irene. I am looking for it because that is going up there.
Just before Darth Plato's super chat.
Okay. Let's see. Where am I? I'm all the way. I'm way up.
Way back. Yeah.
Hello, The Hidden. Good morning to you. Hope you are well. Darn it about the microwave.
I will get to it.
And it's Irene who said it?
Yeah, so I will get to it. I highlighted it. It's okay. It's all good.
Okay. It's killing me. Okay, maybe I can find it via the super chat. You said it's just before. Oh, okay. Nobody puts baby in the microwave. Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, guys, this is, if you're making a movie, if any of you out there are making a movie right now or writing something, take this out. Final word. Thank you, Irene Jobson. Always a pleasure to hear your thoughts. And Darth Plato for the $2 super chat says, happy 208th anniversary to the Battle of Waterloo. And as you guys know, Darth Plato and I do historical series where we review historical films. We just reviewed Glory on Positive Fandom. And coming up, we're going to be doing 8 Men Out. That's right, guys. Shoeless Joe Jackson on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Fandom. Darth Plato and I are going to be reviewing that movie, so please do check that out. And Darth Plato, thank you so much.
You should totally do the Battle of Waterloo. It's a really, really great film. It's got like 20,000 extras in it. It's insane. absolutely insane. They had all these, like, I think they're German or French soldiers, or maybe Russians, and they've just got the entire army of Poland or whatever it is out, and they're all dressed up as redcoats and French, and they just charge it across the battlefield. It's superb. I really like the film. Lots of people don't, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, I have a feeling we might do that because, as you know, Darth Plato and I are going to be covering the new Napoleon film coming up, as well as the Oppenheimer film, guys. So do
Oh,
check
I'm
that
looking
out.
forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, do check that out on Positive Fandom and on the Burnettwork. It's going to be a fantastic review. So please do check it out. And thank you, Darth Plato, so much for the $2 super chat. I can't wait to see what this new Napoleon film is going to be like. And as I mentioned, guys, Darth Plato and I will be covering Oppenheimer as well. All right, guys. And guys, also make sure you subscribe to Retro Nerd Girls channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also share so that we all can see that, guys. Support the other creators here. Lord Toth is here, Russ, my favorite Mountie.
Lord Thoth, hello.
Now, Lord Toth, I don't know if you are a father, but if you are, happy Father's Day. Lord Toth says, happy Sunday. Well, happy Sunday to you. And what else do we have here?
We've got loads. Yeah, there's loads up above that we need to address before we, I guess, wind it up.
Yes. We also have Mikey Lito's YouTube channel, Mikey Lito Live. I have to say it, Mikey Lito Live. Guys, check that out as well. Nathan Trujillo says, RM, the girl threw a candy bar at him because he needed something to eat. Yeah, it is very funny seeing what they did in that and him just kind of stuffing his face. They're very lucky that they didn't get in trouble for like overeating or something. Now, Nathan says that The Flash made $55 million in the box office. Huge fail is summer tentpole film for. That's kind of sad, guys. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really understood what's a good opening weekend and what isn't good and what constitutes good these days, because we've mentioned often on here that BVS made 800 million, but that had a big drop off in its second weekend, so therefore it's shit. Yet something, the Batman in today's money only makes 770 million, but that's somehow brilliant and much better than BVS, even though one made more money 7 years ago than the one made a year ago. I really don't understand. What 55 million sounds like a lot to me, but
it does sound like a lot.
Is that not good?
How much did it cost to make the film? Because if it was one of those 200, 300 millionaires, it's not good. They needed around 100 to maybe at least twice as much over the next few weeks to build up to make back what they spent on it, as far as I know. So let's see, maybe some of you guys would say that and agree with that. Thomas Bartholdi is here. Hi, Tom. He just is finishing up a book, guys. We can't wait to see what this book's going to be like. He says, I'm sure James Gunn is pretty much redoing the entire DC universe.
Yeah.
After Flash anyway.
Please God, Thomas. If he does, then, all is forgiven. Then I don't care. Great. Then do that. Good luck.
And Renz Tolentino says, RM could be a great bodybuilder as long as her hair billows while flexing. Well, something, I might have to make some flexing videos. Renz Tolentino, I appreciate the support. Yes, just have a fan on you blowing while you're lifting weights. It's very interesting.
I love the way all the fucking pressure's on you with the weights and the billowing and all that. No fucker wants to see me billowing with my weights out.
Well, it's funny. James Cole started off with bodybuilding, and here we go. This has become a bodybuilding stream.
Interesting motion you've got going on there with your. What's going on? What's going on, RM? What kind of stream is that? Oh, there you go.
No more of that. Irene says, if you are actually bodybuilding, I have women friends and males who do it. I could connect you with them on IG or something. Yeah, sure, Irene, that would be wonderful. So appreciate that. Well, I think maybe Russ could answer this. Who's going to be the Baywatch lifeguard on the beach in a short red shorts and no shirt? I think that's going to be Russ.
Totally me. Totally. Especially if Pamela Anderson's there. The fucking wild horses won't a whole bit. She's still number one, guys. Pamela Anderson, still number one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Lord Talk says that uh, a terrible Wally West plus the real Wally is a ginger. Is that true?
Yeah, he's a ginger, and Barry Allen's blonde. But this
Oh.
iteration of the Flash, to me, is much more young, much more fun, like Wally West was in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. He's certainly, to me, to my mind, that's who they're taking off. It's not really Barry Allen, who's quite measured. He's like a scientist, and actually, it's Hal Jordan, who's kind of in the later iterations, is kind of like his dickish sidekick, you know.
Well, Tom says he loves the Back to the Future joke in the movie. And James Cole says, I'm glad you do an episode all about bodybuilders. Honestly, James Cole, you should check out our Toxic Male Appreciation show that I do with Lorena on her channel on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on her Twitch channel, and the rebroadcast at 1 p.m. today on Sundays on her YouTube channel, because we reject modernity and embrace masculinity. And bodybuilding is all about that.
Mm.
So, yeah. Irene says that Nicolas Cage is hilarious. Hey, and Bonzo says, let's get physical. I want to get physical. Let's get into physical. Let me hear your body talk. Well, you know something, Bonzo? It sounds like you need to watch Let's Get Physical Media on the Burnettwork at 2 o'clock today if it's on today. But yes, I need to get physical, Bonzo. I need to get physical. And Russ and I have pledged that we will be doing this. We will be getting physical, and that we are going to get we're going to improve our health. We're going to improve our health. And, I can't wait to see our final reveal. Everybody's talking about how they remember that release of Batman 89. Yeah. And Retro Nerval, I agree. I miss the days when soundtrack songs were specifically created for movies. I
I
really
tell you
do.
what, talking of Batman, do you remember that one, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, U2? I think that was for the Batman Forever. That was
Yes.
a absolute banger. That is a great track. Like
I love
really,
that.
really good.
Yeah, that was a great song. And that's exactly it. You had a group that's it's a hit maker. They're hit makers.
Hmm.
So you had a soundtrack that was amazing. Seal's Kiss of a Rose was also, I
Same,
thought,
same movie, same movie.
was fantastic as well. But we're starving for stuff like this, and it was that a Michael Keaton film as well?
No, that was the Val Kilmer one.
That was Val Kilmer. That's right. I couldn't remember, but boy, yeah. No, I didn't talk about it. The hidden. No, we didn't. I don't know if you had even seen the Transformers, Russ. I don't know. Did we talk about? You weren't here last week,
No, I
so.
wasn't. I'm not here next week either, I should say.
Oh,
Sorry. I
okay.
know I'm developing a life outside of my bedroom.
Well, it's the time that the show broadcasts to you. It's like prime time, like.
But no, it's my mate Lee's. How old is Lee? 50 something. He's 50 something birthday, and Lee lives down in a place called Lynmouth, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. You can't call it the arse end of England because it's far from the arse end of England, but it is the arse end of England in terms of from here. I think it's like three or 400 miles away from here. It's a long arse way to go. But yeah, I'm going to go down and see him for that. But even if I did get back in time, the last thing I'm going to want to do is sit in front of my machine trying to wax lyrical after a 5 or 6 hour drive because it's going to take long. So apologies for that. Although I
Yeah.
will touch on some stuff I've been commissioned to do, and I'm actually going to get paid for it at the end of the stream.
Oh my gosh, Russ, this is so exciting to hear.
But we have exciting chats to get through. Come on, let's go.
Yes, yes. Laura Tot says the Green Arrow and the Long Hunters, Richie could do that, which is what you said,
Mm.
Russ. And Thomas Bertoldi says he's mainly working on his superhero book. We
Novel or is it a comic?
I don't know, but Thomas, let us know. You said that you're pretty much done with the book, or you're in the. We're so excited to see what you're going to come up with. Yes, Oppenheimer is going to be amazing. And Irene for the $5 super chat. I am your best sports bra, super supportive. Thank you, Irene. I can
Thank
use
you,
all the
Irene.
support I can get. I'll take it. So kind of you, Irene. You're always so wonderful to have in the chat, and always great to hear your comments. I hope you're well, and I hope the kitties are doing well. I know your husband is a fan and has been playing Zelda. Is he still playing Zelda? Hope all is well with you. Yeah, Bonzo, is this a new film or is it the one that he just made that they were talking about at Cannes?
I imagine it's the one they're talking about at Cannes.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Maybe I will. You guys, I don't know if you know this, but I have a playlist on Positive Fandom devoted to historical monarchy films, which means I specifically review either films or documentaries related to royal families, either historical or dramatic films, where it could just be all, a drama. But yeah, maybe I will review that film. Why not? He is a king and therefore would fall into historical monarchy, Bonzo Kilborn. So yeah, maybe I will do that. Russ, have you seen the film?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. Gosh. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh wow, James Cole, you are on fire today. Well, Russ, I wanted to ask you about oh my goodness, not Jin Korea. Jin Korea is here today. Hi, Jin Korea. How are you? I don't know what the super sticker is. Russ, can you see what it is? Or Tom, can you
No,
tell me?
it just says super sticker on the screen
I
here.
I see it now. Thank you, Tom. Jin Korea for a $2.99 super sticker. It says that it is a pair blowing a kiss. Thank you so much, Jin Korea. I so appreciate that. It's so generous of you. All of you have been so generous today. I so appreciate it. I really appreciate the support. It makes so much of a difference for me to be able to continue the channel. This is so wonderful. Thank you, Jin Korea. How are you? It's been a little while. So great to hear from you. Please let us know what you've been up to and what you think of The Flash if you've seen it, and anything else that is on your mind. Jin Korea, thank you so much. Wow, that is great. Russ, I've gotten so many super chats today. I'm so grateful to everybody for their support. It makes such a big difference here for me on the channel, guys.
Oh, you deserve it, RM. I've said on here before, all proceeds go to RM. I'm just a guest on this show, although I should start for asking a percentage in as you're getting loads of super chats now. No, seriously, all proceeds go to RM. It's nothing to do with me. I encourage you guys to send what you can, because she's always online. She's always here to entertain you. And you've heard me say this before, but I really do mean it. It's like I pitch up for an hour and a half, 2 hours on a Sunday, and that's about it. But Rita's always on. She's doing live streams with Lorena. She's doing watch parties. She's doing live gaming things pretty much every day, and I know for a fact, actually, at really low times in my life, and I know beneath this sunny smiley exterior lurks the heart of a normal human. And I've had some depression and all the rest of it, and I remember during those times that like the live streamers and people talking about things that I found entertaining and I found it really fucking kept me going. So you're doing good work, Rita, and you deserve it.
Well, thank you, Russ. Thank you so much.
Only the
And
truth.
I so appreciate it and for your kind words. And thank you, everybody who has contributed today to the channel. It does make a huge difference for me. And I do appreciate it from my heart, everybody. It's so wonderful to see that. And Jin Korea, I haven't seen you for a while. Let me know how you're doing in the chat if you get a chance to type out anything else as well. The Hidden says, Art, no offense, but Flash's Warner Brothers live action movie didn't introduce anything new. For example, it would be nice to see live action tease of Batman Beyond or Thomas Wayne as the Dark Knight. Yeah.
That's what everyone was hoping for. Everyone was hoping for that scene at the end with Affleck and Miller and the note from Thomas Wayne. Like, that's what everybody kind of wanted. And people have, like, I don't know if that was shot, but I've seen plenty of pictures of that scene. I don't know if they're faked or if they're AI or fake Photoshop or real, but I know a lot of people wanted that. I would have loved that.
I would have loved it too. And Darth Plato reminds us that Depp is Madame du Barry. It's the Madame du Barry movie, right? That's at Cannes, and everybody was talking about it. Depp is Louis the 15th. Thank you so much, Darth Plato. Rogue Thinker is here today.
Oh, hello, Rogue.
Says, sorry I dropped in late. Rare day I can sleep in. Have a wonderful day and an excellent week, everyone. Well, same to you, Rogue Thinker. And Irene again for another super chat. Irene, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says this one is for Ness. Irene, you are the best. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh my gosh, these compliments. Thank you, Stavros. I so appreciate it. You guys are great too. I just love hearing your comments and being able to, go over that. Oh, thank you, Bonzo. Thank you so much, everybody, today. Now, Russ, please tell us what your news is. Or did you want to share your news today? Or
Yeah, sure. But first of all, I don't know if anybody here has seen Extraction Part 2 with Chris Hemsworth in it. I don't know if you've seen it, RM.
I haven't watched it. No.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, get yourself to Netflix and watch it now because it's awesome. And we've mentioned this a few times on here, and I'll reiterate if in case anybody's new. But what you find around a lot of the YouTube space is it's a lot of a bit of grifting going on, and everybody fucking hates everything that comes out, and there's no white men in it, and it's just women doing this, and they're throwing around. There are plenty of films like Extraction out there, and Extraction just delivers everything that you want from a film called Extraction. There's a little bit of character development. There's some strong acting from certain people. Idris Elba's in it, which was a real surprise. Like I did not expect him, and I did not expect him to be in that kind of role. I'm sure they're setting him up for Extraction 3, because spoiler alert, he dies at the end of the first one, but somehow miraculously he comes back, and now he's not dead at the end of the second one. All right, they're going to make a third one. I'm sorry for the spoilers, but it looks like he's going to be in an expanded role. Hemsworth is sort of sliding in to be the new Statham if he keeps doing this, because he is a huge unit. He's as good looking as all the hell, and he looks convincing as anything doing these action scenes. I just was so impressed with this. It doesn't tell you anything new, right? It's the same story as the first one. It's called Extraction for a reason. So good. So good. Some plot points from the first one that was set up get resolved in this, and they get resolved in a satisfying yet non-schlocky or non-saccharine way. And the way that Hemsworth reacts to this revelation right at the end of or close to the end of the movie, really, really good. Fucking 9.5, 10 out of 10 for Extraction. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it. I would say it's not as good scene by scene by scene by scene by scene by scene as the first one. But if you forget about the first one and or sort of half remember the first one from having seen it before, and you watch this, it will remind you of the first one in all of the right ways. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. I strongly urge, if you like the sort of stuff I like, you'll like this.
Wow. And Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you for your kind words. Says that I'm a good friend. Tom, you are a great friend as well. Retro Nurgirl says that she's reviewing Extraction on Wednesday morning and she can't wait. It's amazing.
Oh shit, Retro, was that the show that I once caught completely by accident on random? I remember I turned on the internet and I saw, shit, Retro's live. What's she doing? And she was talking about something, and I forget now. And I was chatting away with all these people in the chat who didn't know me. It was quite weird because Retro knows who I am, and like nobody else did. And I'm going, Spider-Verse, and all these people going, who's this arsehole? Who does he think he is? It was me. I'm sorry.
Well, guys, check out Retro Nerd Girl's channel on Wednesday morning. She's going to be reviewing Extraction 2. Please make sure you check it out, like and subscribe, and share as well. Irene says that Idris is one of her faves.
He's one of all of our faves, man. Come on, he's Idris Elba. He's lovely. We all love Idris.
Absolutely. And Mario Lopez says that the first Extraction was amazing.
right? So don't you think, like I said, he's becoming a sort of stealth Statham, and I think this Extraction lark might be a nice little franchise as he's getting not old but older, for him to gravitate away from Thor, because he certainly distanced himself with his comments over the creative genius that is Taika Waititi or whatever his name is. He distanced him. So yeah, it was great fun, but maybe it didn't land like we thought. Yeah, all got a bit silly, and yeah, he's like sort of pushing that away. So I wonder if Extraction, because he's a lovely bloke, isn't he? Chris Hemsworth. I mean, he's kind of like Chris Fine, right? When we saw Chris Fine in that one movie where he was the mercenary, he's finished in the army and he goes and he becomes the contractor.
Yes.
And you just love him, don't you? Just want him to win. He's great. He's so affable. And Hemsworth has that same vibe of like, you want him to come out of these situations. You want him to kick some ass. You want everything to end up happily for him. Irene, Chris Pine, but everyone calls him Chris Fine. Or my girlfriend Annie calls him Chris Fine. Because every time I say Chris Pine, she says, "I think you mean Chris Fine," and I'm like, "Yes, I mean Chris Fine."
Absolutely, guys. Tom Deere Jackson says there is an Extraction 3 and a Fubar Series 2 coming out.
Oh, I must watch Fubar. I haven't seen it yet.
And Rogue Thinker says, I think he gets stabbed a little too much with no consequences, but otherwise Extraction 2 is very good and the action is amazing.
He's spot on, Rogue, right? He's absolutely spot on. So there's this one bit in the movie, which I guess I will kind of spoil, although I'm not going to tell you what the circumstances around it. But like someone says, like he's been injured and he's bleeding quite heavily. And you can see, like, and the guy says to him, "Oh, your lifeblood is draining away," and there's like this massive pool of blood behind him, and you could literally follow him, like from a helicopter with the trail of blood he's left. But yeah, no, 5 minutes later he's fine. but that's the 80s right there. Like they've made an 80s movie with modern sensibilities. That's it right there. It's literally, yeah, he was stabbed, and it held him up for the bit that he needed to be held up in. But he's an action hero, and he heals fast. Oh my God. And now Darth Plato's coming in with the mic drops. I'm waiting for somebody to say Chris mine. God, you guys are on fire today, man. What is going on here?
Mm-hmm. And Retro Nerd Girl says she recommends it. Irene, you've got to watch it. She says your husband will like this. And guys, don't forget on Monday, I will be on the Burnettwork with Lorena Creel for Ladies of the PGS at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. Also, Thomas Bertoldi says, I love the brutal extreme action.
Right. That's what we want. That's all we can. Thomas, have you heard of Scott Adkins? Go watch his movies now. I mean, it's one of his biggest fans. I love the guy, and he does films like this all the time. Except that, Thomas, Scott Adkins is a lifelong martial artist, and he really can do all this stuff. So whereas you get the cuts and the different angles in an Extraction, you don't get that in a Scott Adkins movie. You see him do everything. Why? Because he can, and he's doing all of these amazing things.
Absolutely. And Retro Nerd Girl says it has a slight flavor of John Wick because it's directed by a former Marvel stuntman.
I did not know that.
Wonderful camera work too. There's just a little bit of it there. I can't play. I want to play the trailer, but I can't. And also, I can't do this fast enough. Helmsworth is Thor. Dump the Kiwi, keep the Aussie.
Right. Except for the Ashes, which I'm hoping we're crushing the Aussies right now, but I don't know because I don't know if play's been rained off. Actually, it might well have been.
Thomas Bertoldi says, I'm definitely watching it. I'm definitely going to watch this. Thomas, we know you're busy writing, so sometimes it's not, you can't always do that. Guys,
Tom should let us know before we go. Let us know, what is it? A comic, a book, a novel? What are you doing?
Absolutely. He has told us before, but unfortunately I can't remember. I'm sorry, Thomas. Irene, go ahead and subscribe. Did my friend Andy ever say, oh, you were asking about someone else. Guys, make sure you subscribe to Retro Nerd Girls channel. And Jamin D is here. Hi, Jamin.
Hey, Jamin. Metal fingers for you. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, chat. Do check that you're still subscribed to our And I'll tell you this for why, because I do this show pretty much every Sunday. But I was away last weekend. I take Sam to Monsters of Rock, or what they call it nowadays, download. I was away, but my name's on the show, right? And I'm subscribed to Aram's channel, and this stuff never shows up in my feed. So Arams did say that her subscriber numbers are actually starting to go down, and I
Yeah,
don't know
like
why that
some of my
is.
subscribers have disappeared, and then sometimes the next day they'll reappear. Like it's very strange. I don't know what's going on, but yes, guys, please do like and subscribe to Positive Fandom. I so appreciate all the support you guys have been showing me. Really enjoying all of it. And guys, make sure you go to russellwhitfield.com to check out Russ's books, the Gladiatrix series, and more, guys. So make sure you do that. Yes, and thank you, Irene. Make sure you check all notifications so that you can get notifications from the channel. Sabro says, yeah, it is very funky. It really is. Thomas Bertoldi is writing a novel.
Oh, come on, dude! I need more than a word. Like, it's a fantasy novel set in. It's a science fiction novel about, come on, man. Where's the log line? Give me the log line here.
And Jamin D says Scott did an interview with Sam Hargrave, and The Art of Action must watch also.
I haven't seen that Art of Action, and I thought I'd seen all of them, but that one does not ring any bells. I will go back and check it out.
Mikey Lito says, I'm enjoying that LA Noir game you're playing, I may pick it up. It's so good, Mikey Lito. It's such a wonderful game. Of course, there's strategy. You have to question the suspects, and I'm not the best person to do that, but I don't care. I'll just go ahead and do it. I love it. And Irene says, I might read Russ's book. I might do that.
Well, thanks, Irene. I would recommend that if you do try and get a paper copy, you can get it for about a penny on Amazon now. But the first one isn't very good, I'm afraid. The other two are quite good, I think. Ask Darth Plato; he's read all of them.
They're all good. Russ, stop saying that.
I don't know. I don't like the first one. But if you do buy a paper copy and you want to send it to me, I'm happy to sign it if you would like that. Some people do, some people don't. I've always felt like such a heel when I offer to sign books, because it's like, oh yes, I can sign it for you. It's like, no, some people like it, all right, and some people don't. So whatever. If you want, yes, you can buy a proper price copy. If you go onto Amazon, they're mostly secondhand now, unless you go onto .co.uk, you can get. But they're there. So if you get a paper one, you want to send it to me, and I'll sign it, or leave me a nasty review on Amazon. I don't know, whatever you like.
And Tom Jr. Jackson says, I'm loving the LA Noir and listening to the cops yelling at RM's driving. It's so funny. It is funny. It's not my fault, Tom. It's hard to steer in that game. And I am enjoying it. Thomas Bartoldi says it's a superhero novel, but
Sweet.
Yeah, it is a superhero novel. And Retro Nurgle says, I absolutely love Scott Adkins. He's amazing. He is amazing.
I might be going to see him in a couple of weeks. He's at the London Action Festival, and I'm in an RM. It's like a con, Rita. You got. I'm got. Yeah, off my own back. But
really?
Yeah, no, I might go. I don't know if I can be fucked to go.
You better go and meet him.
I don't know if I can be bothered. But I was talking.
Be bothered.
Shit! No, I was talking to Amy about this, and I said to him, I'm going to go up to him because I'm going to book a photograph, and I'm going to give him that script that he said that he didn't read. And I say, Amy said to read this. Amy's cracking up. She's going, yeah, you should do that. You should do that.
Yes, you should do it. Oh my gosh, yes, Russ, you've got to do this. When is it?
In July. It's the same. I think it's the same day as Iron Maiden. I think it's the 7th of July or something like that.
Mm-hmm. You got to go do it. You have to do this.
I think it really depends. I've got to work out, like, if it's on the same day as Iron Maiden, probably not, because I have to go to London and go to the con, and then go back and get Sam and go up again to London to what because it's at the Excel Centre, which is miles away from here, as you know.
Yes.
And then you'd have to go. I have to go all the way back and then all the way back in, and I don't know. I'll see.
Irene says, how can I get one from you? Contact Russ on russwhitfield.com, Irene.
Yeah, shit, Irene. I don't know how many I've got. I've got them in a box under the stairs, and I don't know how many I've got left. But what I'll do is drop me an email, and if I've got enough, I'll definitely send you one. If I don't, I won't. You'll have to buy one. But it's only a penny. It's really, you can get it secondhand. It's a penny. It's fine.
Thomas Bertoldi says it is a superhero novel with a sci-fi element tossed around, and Irene says
Color
tossed
me.
like a salad.
Isn't that a sexual term? I believe it
Yes,
is.
it is.
Yes, it is. Okay, fine. Let's move swiftly on. Well, Thomas, that sounds intriguing. Superheroes and sci-fi. I'm thinking, is it Green Lantern? Is it something, is it Green Lanternish? Are they out in the galaxy? I don't know, man, but I'm intrigued. So that's good. Yes, Jamin D says buy a paperback. I would recommend that. Yes. Why is he saying that, Irene? Because in the ebook version, they don't differentiate between scenes. I put little stars in, so something happens, then you put a little star, and then something else happens, and it's a different scene. They haven't got that in the ebook version. And even I read it about 2 years ago, and even I was confused. I fucking wrote it. So I can't imagine what it's like trying to read the ebook if you didn't write it. So hence paperbacks.
And Nathan says, who is ready for the first episode of Secret Invasion? I am. I want to see it.
I want to see it. I want to see it. Let's see. Come on now, Marvel. Let's see what you got.
Absolutely. And Irene says, I like paperbacks and hardbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So do I, Irene. And yes,
While you're tossing your salad.
That is correct.
Correct.
Guys, Russ, we're almost at the end of today's broadcast. Was there anything else that you would like to talk about before we end the show?
I'm just going to identify Bonzo here, who's saying, you'll take my life, but I'll take you too. You'll fire your muskets, but I'll run you through. Yes, Iron Maiden's 1984 classic Peace of Mind, The Trooper, was a single from that album, which you have now quoted. Love them. Awesome. Yeah, so I know that it's a writer's strike, but I'm not in the WGA. So therefore, I'm not in the union. I've been asked to write something that's going to be made into a short movie, and that is definite, that is real, and that is happening. I don't know how long it will take. So I have been asked to write several different things from which we are going to do a pick'em. And I've just done the first one, which is called Showgirl. And the next one's going to be called Whore. And then there's a couple more after that. I've got about 5 I have to do. So I've done one. I don't have to do any. I could just deliver one, but I promised that I would deliver more than one. So then we're going to do a mix and match and hopefully put some stuff together. And there will be a short, and it will have karate in it. And it might have one of my favorite performers in it. In fact, it will have one of my favorite performers in it.
Does her name start with an A?
It might do, and that's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Congratulations, Russ. I am so excited.
I was so made up. I was like, oh my god, I can do that for sure.
This is fantastic news. And of course, the titles of what you're talking about do remind me a lot of Joan Collins' big hits in similar titled movies.
The Slut and the Bitch.
That's
correct?
Right. I love all that.
Was it the Slut? No.
It was
the Bitch and
the
Stud. The Stud.
That's right. And, she was fantastic in that. And Irene Jobson for the $2 super chat with the live long and prosper symbol. Thank you so much, Irene. I so appreciate it. And Russ, this is such great news to hear from you guys. If you want to get in contact with Russ, you can contact him at russellwhitfield.com, guys. Please do reach out to Russ.
Fingers crossed it all goes well, but it looks like it's all happening. So I'm really pleased about that. But yeah, no, the work has started, and like I say, I've done the first one, going to roll on to the second one, then the third one, and fourth one.
We are so excited for you, Russ. I can't tell you what wonderful news this is. Everybody is wishing you congratulations.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm really excited. I hope it goes well.
I agree with you, Mario. It's totally made for TV or cinema. I really want that Gladiatrix series to come forward as well. I want to thank everybody with the super chats today. Norwegian Kryptonian, Mikey Lido, Darth Plato, Irene, who repeatedly has been so generous today, Jin Korea. So appreciate all of the support that you all have shown the channel today and me. And Russ, congratulations on this wonderful news. Thank you, Stavros. You all have been so wonderful, guys. Of course, Please like and subscribe to Positive Fandom. You guys know where to find me here and on the Burnettwork, on Lorena Creel's channel, on the 1/6 Scale Man Network, and on El Profesoro's channel, guys. Oh gosh, thank you. You guys are so wonderful. Tom Jr. Jackson, we are all goof people. Just want to thank everybody for coming out today, sharing what's going on in their mind. Thomas Bartholdi, we can't wait to see your book when you're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once again, guys, thank you all for joining us. We hope you all join us for the next episode of Sunday Brunch. And remember, guys, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind.
That's a wrap. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.
Love you loads. Bye-bye now. Bye.